Uh,
Yeah.
it just tonight I'm going to be previewing some Aki-inspired wrestlers. Aki was the game producer that had the license for WCW games and WWE games in the 1990s and into the early 2000s. Their most famous and most remembered games would be WWF No Mercy and WCW versus NWO Revenge, as well as their virtual pro wrestling games, many of which are still attract modders and creators and to this day. So what I am trying to do with this little project is to bring back some of the characters in some kind of way, and also maybe breathe a different kind of life into the gimmick that they had in game. I am very well aware that these Aki characters were based on Japanese wrestling legends or guys who were gaijin who made it big in Japan. But what I'm trying to do is kind of to blend what was done with both the Aki games, where they didn't have the license for those characters, and what some of those wrestlers did in their real life gimmick. For example, in front of us right now we have three guys, La Masquerade in the scarlet, kind of pink and black, the Golden Jin in the gold and silver, and David Hartley in the black. Golden Jin is based off of Alibaba from the WCW vs. World Tour. And I've decided to go to a different direction with him. He was based on the Sheik and Tiger Jeet Singh. And so what I'm attempting to do is still do kind of that Middle Eastern heel, Indian heel gimmick, but put it under a hood to make some of the things that I want the character to be a little bit more acceptable, because he's playing this kind of supernatural character. La Masquerade is based off of Mil Mascaras, which is kind of obvious. And David Hartley is based off of Taka Michinoku. And I decided with some of these characters that I am going to adapt their gimmicks a little bit, because David Hartley, for example, he was originally known as Black Belt in the Aki games. And anything that you were going to do with some of the Japanese characters, to give them really generic names and backgrounds, it's going to come across kind of insensitive. So I'm trying to change some of the characters around, make them a little more interesting, but try to keep the spirit of what they were doing in their real careers.
Or if not insensitive, excessively generic.
Right. Welcome to the stream, my buddy Gaz. Gaz helps me preview characters and look at stuff, and he's helped me with a couple of the female characters that I've created, and he's a huge wrestling fan from way back, and we are both just glad for folks to be checking us out. The character who just entered the ring is based off of Tarzan Goda. He was named both Ming Chi and Blackheart in the Aki games, and I think that I'm going to change his name to Blackheart to better reflect the character that I'm going to try to have him be in my universe mode. And then the guy in the black trunks that's just come in is Francisco Fiasco, based off of the Paco Loco Aki CAW from WCW versus NWO World Tour. So he actually has two attires, one that is based off of Dick Togo's actual wrestling attire, and the other one that is sort of inspired by Homicide from Ring of Honor, to kind of give him more of a cholo look that was made famous by guys like...
combo right there.
Yeah. That was made
Dick Togo and Homicide.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like new stuff.
Really, I mean, he is.
Yeah,
Especially when you think about Dick Togo's moveset and the brutal effectiveness which Togo used to be able to hammer in some of his shots and moves. And then you think about Homicide's own brand of ring style. It actually fits together pretty well.
Well, yeah, the movesets mesh together. But I'm just thinking about the contrast with their characters.
Right.
Because Homicide is one of a group of wrestlers here in the States that have doubled down on a lot of the urban culture material for their gimmick. And I'm trying to choose my words carefully there.
Right.
But,
well, I mean, he's taken what New Jack was doing as the gangsters and the original gangsters.
Well, yeah, well, he worked with New Jack.
Right.
Both Homicide, the other Homicide who changed his name to Murder One, and Rain Man, who Ring of Honor fans will know as Corey Chavez. All three of them worked with New Jack in some capacity on the Indies.
Right.
Either they trained with him or they tagged with him at some point.
Championship on the line.
Specifically Murder One and Corey Chavez. And I don't know the extent on Homicide, but I do recall being told that there had been some work done with it between him and New Jack.
First time we've seen that move tonight from either locker room. I kind of love
and it looks like we got another viewer. Welcome to the stream. We're going to have a few more new characters coming into the ring here momentarily. Let's see who they are.
Looks like the two viewers that are being counted are only me and you.
No, I'm not in the stream.
It looks like. It says you are. It says you're on the viewer list in the stream.
Oh, check that out.
That's
probably because you're broadcasting, and it puts you in there automatically.
Yeah, but it says that my viewer count with you. It says that the viewer count was at 0.
It seems the focus
it's showing 2 on my end.
No, it's showing 2 on my end, but when you came in, it was 1, and now it's showing 2.
Right. The only 2 that are showing up on your viewer, unless it's a non-logged-in viewer, because I don't know how that's affected. I don't know how that's affected on Twitch, where viewers will come in but they're not showing up in chat. So unless they're talking in chat,
so back in game, we've got Kokio Kishi, that roughly translates to Shadow Warrior, who is basically the Black Ninja, aka the Great Sasuke. So he's in, and also Kimchi, who is based off of Koji Katal. Koji Katal was the Peruso wrestler who infamously had the shoot fight with Earthquake and refused to actually wrestle Ed Tenta, and Ed had to kind of teach him a lesson. And it was
John Tenta?
John Tenta.
You mean John Tenta?
Yeah, sorry. And basically, John had to teach him a lesson, and Koji Katal was basically infamous for being a kind of a dick. And so the other one who has just entered in the black trunks with the wrapped leg is Ron Fujimoto, who is based off of Master Fuji from WCW versus NWO World Tour. There's a little bit of misunderstanding about the character. Some think that he's based on Yoshimura Fujiwara, and some think that he is based off of El Gran Hamada. And so I decided to kind of split the difference because I'm fans of both guys. Fujiwara, as many know, was the innovator of the Fujiwara armbar, and was not only a wrestler, but a pretty
Never told me to
shoot
tell you
fighter.
hey. Never told me to tell you hey, even though you had never met.
And he goes down hard. He's busted wide open.
Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. No,
Yeah, I heard.
I had to take the headset, yeah.
The tension, the drama. This is electric. Look at the back.
So apparently if I wanted, I could uncheck the audio and I wouldn't be included
Number
on
10 will be
stream.
joining us momentarily. He's been waiting for his chance to enter, and here it is.
I think you're going to like this Hanzo Mon,
Chance of winning this thing.
who I'm going to change to Hannibal Halcone.
Oh, nice. That's a fun name.
Look out! Oh, what's he going to do to follow that up? Man, look at this.
Hanzo Mon is actually based off of, in the AKI games, he was known as Hanzo Mon and Hannibal, and he's based off of Hayabusa. And what I decided
And for any Overwatch fans, it has nothing to do with Hanzo from Overwatch.
Right. And but also the other thing about it is that Hanzo Mon Hayabusa did a gimmick in FMW where he lost his mask and he wrestled under the name H. And that's where I've taken the inspiration for this costume, so that he's less of the kind of masked Japanese wrestler and more of a American Japanese kid obsessed with the 90s. That's kind of the gimmick that I'm going with him, especially early 90s, late 80s rock and roll.
There's a lot more left in the tank.
And
Now, who was that in the camo? Who's that in the camo?
the camo is, his name is Kimchi.
Okay, that's Koji.
Yeah, that's Koji Katara.
Okay, no, I just didn't catch which attire he was wearing. That's why I'm asking. That costume turned out really nice.
Yeah, and I don't know if how much of it is I'm going to keep. I really need to change the name because it's just Kimchi. Just unless
Sounds like a dinner. Sounds like a food dish.
it is a food dish, and unless you are a masked handler of Kamala, it doesn't work.
Finally starts to change.
I know, right?
There's a lot of pride in that man, Cole. And this match is over for that superstar.
Either that or
Okay,
food dish.
I'm so glad that I caught that on stream.
With that one. Right.
The Kimchi body slam and the Hanzo Mon head scissors to
Oh, yeah.
Kishi.
Get out of that.
Nice. There is a slight delay, but it's so I mean I saw that, but it was like I didn't know if I don't know how much it was later, but it doesn't seem like it's too excessive.
It wasn't that much later.
Yeah.
He just didn't have enough left to hang on.
So that's why I wasn't sure when you said. I'm glad I caught that. And I think it was about 10 seconds after it happened, 10 to 15 seconds after it happened.
Well, that
Which is better than the usual 30 I might have put in my
Right.
What an idiot.
or was fighting it with.
And like I've said, I haven't really finished the faces on all of these guys. I just wanted to kind of show off attires and gimmick changes.
Get ready. Another superstar's about to head out.
Huh.
And the crowd rises to their feet.
Well, and the other thing,
And
and you and I discussed this off screen,
how much longer he can go.
we're getting on the back end of the lifespan of 2K17. And a lot of this is just getting stuff down so it'll be easier to cycle through next year and get it out.
Right.
Theoretically, hopefully.
The character who just entered the ring is actually based off Sabu. Now, Sabu was not seen in WCW versus NWO World Tour or WCW versus NWO Revenge. He was in WCW versus NWO versus the World, which was a PlayStation game, and I wanted him in specifically, and I'm out, so now I can just do commentary for the rest of this, because it was incredibly difficult to try to wrestle the match and do commentary. But the guy in the mask and the camo is based off of ECW icon Sabu, and basically, if you know that you're looking for Sabu, he can be easily seen in the design of the character. The guy who has just come in, Oliver Schul, in the green and black, is a friend of mine's character who will be appearing on the Dead or Alive Wrestling stream. He is sort of doing Steve Corino's King of Old School gimmick. DOA, Dead or Alive, is basically my ECW or CZW. It's where all the crazy stuff happens in-game. Not that there's no Extreme Rules matches in other federations, but DOA is where stuff kind of goes out the window.
Okay, I'm disappointed with this guy.
I'm not done with him.
When I saw the claw, I was really hoping for
the claw is based off of Grand Naniwa in Japanese Perusa, and I'm trying to get a texture dump to get some of the textures from Virtual Pro Wrestling 2 to better create the character that I'm trying to get from him. Naniwa and Super Delkin, who is based on The Unknown, were two very well-known comedy wrestlers in Japan who wrestled for Tokyo Pro and Michinoku Pro and several Japanese independents. I'm trying to do them justice while at the same time keeping them at a jobber level in DOA. But I want to have good costumes for them that also speak to the origins of the character. The character that has just come in the yellow is based off of Kodo Fuyuki. And his name in WCW versus NWO World Tour was Powder Keg. Fuyuki used to wrestle under the name Samson Fuyuki.
Excuse me, wait, what did you say to me?
Fuyuki. Yeah, Fuyuki too. Now, the guy who's come in kind of the samurai garb is Shogun, who is based off of Kawada, legendary All Japan and New Japan star, very famous for his rivalries with Masawa and his tag team with Akira Tao. I am not done with his skirt. I am working on a print that will go well with that. But this is a big redesign from the original game, WCW versus NWO Revenge, where they basically had him wrestling in Kendo the Samurai's attire. And I decided to do something a little bit different that was a little more visually interesting and less clunky. I am really surprised that Hanzo Man has not been eliminated yet. But at the same time, I'm not. Now, here comes the character that is inspired by AKI Man. AKI Man was a kind of project character that AKI put into WCW versus NWO Revenge, who had a completely goofy taunts that you could barely tell who he was supposed to be. But when you dug into the moveset and looked at it, he was based on Misawa. And so what I decided to do is keep the mask and give him a Misawa / Tiger Mask inspired attire, because Misawa was also Tiger Mask #2. And so please don't let Wu-Tang be eliminated by the claw right now. Okay, thank God. Because that would suck. That would completely and utterly suck for Wu-Tang to come in and just be eliminated by the comedy character.
What a fist drop. He's in a little bit of trouble now. This 20-man match is taking him to the limit here. And Michael, this could be the opening he needs to pull ahead. Man, you can almost see the pride on the faces in the ring right now, Cole. I mean, I don't anticipate anybody rolling over in this one, do you? No, not at all.
This is going to be okay. So it's not quite the end. I thought that was almost the end of the match.
Who's coming out next?
Trying to see what number this is.
And the clock hits 0. Here comes another.
Okay, so
superstar.
Virgil Sorrento is actually based off of Gato. Gato was called Dim Sum in the WCW versus NWO World Tour. And Gato, another very famous, he's even still active to this day, wrestler in New Japan. And his tag team partner, Jado, is also in here in this Royal Rumble. And will probably be within the next few characters.
We've seen that from him before. I mean, it's definitely a first tonight. This is great.
Okay, quick little bit of trivia for you. Who was the original Tiger Mask?
Here we go. This could be it.
I can't remember. It starts with an S.
No, you're wrong.
Who was the original Tiger Mask?
The original Tiger Mask was a Japanese anime character.
Oh yeah, I know that. I thought you were
from
talking
the
about
late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah, I thought you were talking
it
about.
predated. No, the gimmick that the original
how you make an impact.
What do you call it? The guy that first took the pro wrestling gimmick was Satoru Sayama. Yeah, he was the one that did that. That's what you're thinking of.
Right.
But he based his gimmick on the manga.
Yeah, the manga
Yeah,
and anime.
the manga anime that came out in the PlayStation.
Attack continues. Oh man, this is getting tough to watch.
Masawa was number 2, Kenny Minamoto was number 3, Yoshiro Yamazaki number 4, Ikuhisa Minowa number 5, and Kota Ibushi. He's listed as Tiger Mask W.
Yeah, that is because he is named after the new anime.
Right.
So, Yurikai Bin Khan is based off of Abdullah the Butcher.
He was also known as Saladin in the game.
And he was known as Saladin in the game. I decided to change the name a little bit because I was going to use Saladin for the Sabu-inspired character. Those two are I'm doing as a tag team who may or may not have an association later on with the Golden Gin.
You have to possess a different type of focus to punish an opponent like this. Yeah, you really have to.
This has actually turned out to be a fun little rumble just to kind of watch.
And he fails to connect with anything that time. Man, that was some miss, all right. I could feel the breeze all the way over here. He's been waiting for a
now,
chance to
here is Virgil Somarito's tag team partner, Dante Dane, and he is based off of Jado. And he was also dim sum in the game. They put both characters in under one model, and that was kind of what AKI kind of did to sneak other characters in. Jado and Gato were under the same model in Virtual Pro Wrestling 64, and so they were under the same model as Dim Sum in WCW versus NWO World Tour. So what I decided to do was to split those guys in half and create two characters with movesets inspired by Jado and Gato, and also give their looks kind of like their late 90s, early 2000s attire that would get kind of in with the hardcore look of DOA.
And Jado and Gato are also buddies with future WWE Hall of Famer Chris Jericho.
Yes.
And they appeared on this podcast.
They were actually a part of Team No Respect in FMW.
Yeah.
Along with
and plus the two of them were down in Mexico with me.
Right. Some of the stories that Jericho tells about Jado and Gato being gringos, which is weird to say because but them being gringos in Mexico, comparing Jericho to being a gaijin are actually pretty funny and very interesting to say the least. Well, there goes Wu Fang. Wu Fang was actually my favorite in this.
It's worth checking out his podcast stuff just to hear this story. Anyway.
Which, shameless plug, I mean, we're not affiliated with the Jericho Network, but it is Talk Is Jericho, and you can find that on Podcast One and iTunes.
And I mean, why not? We can plug our favorite podcast on screen. If I'm able to plug my favorite brewery on screen to drinking beer from, then we can plug our favorite podcasts.
And while we're at it, check out Killing the Town and with Storm and Cyrus, and Keeping It with 100. Just ignore the bits with Juventud Guerrero and Disco Inferno.
And that's a good general rule. That's a good general rule of thumb. Okay? Ignore Disco Inferno.
Unless Juventud Guerrero is actively wrestling a match.
Well, no, I was going to say, good rule of thumb. Ignore Disco Inferno.
Oh, interesting. Okay, this is actually a very apt number 20 in this Royal Rumble. This is Dakin, who is based off of Anatoshi Onita. And Onita was the creator of Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, which is what DOA is based off of. And I kind of cobbled together a couple of his different looks. His hardcore kind of jeans and t-shirt attire, which he normally wrestled in FMW, but also I took the face paint from his Great Muta, which was his send-up of the Great Muta, which would eventually lead to a match between the two. But I decided to, instead of using the name Puchetta, which was the name in the game for WCW versus NWO World Tour, I decided to use the WCW versus NWO Revenge name of Dakin because I think it was a little bit better for the character. And I also have created Bad Blood Puchetta, who is Wing Kanemura. He just isn't in the game because I haven't. He's not in the Rumble because I have not completed his moveset yet. Not that anybody's moveset has really been showcased in the Rumble, but I just wanted to have that done. And if it comes down to Dante Bane and Dakin, this is very interesting because these two are will be having some kind of rivalry in the game. I did not plan this at all.
Can't be happy with how this is going right now. Well, this might finally be where these guys
Dante Bane and Virgil Sarmiento is going to be allied with Powder Keg Sampson, who is going to be in a heated rivalry with Date Ken.
But Date Ken's going to clear this up real quick, I think.
Yeah, well, considering that, well, Bane really isn't that damaged yet.
No.
But here's the cool part: they are both within the realm of getting a finisher icon very quickly, at least at the same time.
Right. But Bane is taking the most damage, and plus I'm looking at that red bar versus.
Right.
I mean, Date Ken is not taking any damage, plus has a nearly full health bar.
Well, that's why the number 20 slot has the biggest advantage.
Right. Though, honestly, if this was a legit WWE pay-per-view, it would be the number 19 slot, not the 20 slot.
Right.
I think number 30 in the Rumble has only won maybe, 2 or 3 times in the
right.
15-plus year history of the Rumble. Almost 20-year history of the Rumble.
Another thing that I try to do is I try to go through the old strategy guides and the move sets that each of these characters have used in the AKI games, as well as looking at some match footage and the wikis on each character to try to give them a pretty accurate move set that from the game, as well as what the wrestler did in real life. And if Date Ken could just win by biting him, it would be great. But
I know, right?
Elimination. And this one is over.
Now, this match was for the DOA wrestling title, which is a secondary title in my WWE universe. So that's pretty interesting. Date Ken is the new DOA champion.
Deep South champion.
Congratulations.
Superstar.
There's your winner, folks. The last competitor standing. Very nicely done. I can assure you, Michael, that match was just as tough mentally as it was physically. Folks, that match is why people...
This reminds me something I want to discuss with you off